The Galactic Coalition was on the verge of collapse formed centuries ago to counterbalance the Zenari Dominion's aggressive expansion. The Coalition's member species were diverse each, bringing unique strengths and weaknesses to the table, but years of relentless warfare had taken their toll. Planets lay in ruins, fleets were decimated, and morale was at an all-time low. In the heart of the Coalition's capital, on the planet Eris, the High Council convened for a critical meeting. Representatives from the various member species filled the grand hall, their faces etched with worry. At the center of the room stood High Counselor Taris, a wise and respected leader from the Ural species. Known for their strategic acumen and diplomatic skills, esteemed members of the Council, Taris began, his voice resonating with authority. We stand at a crossroads. Our defenses are crumbling, and the Zenari advance is relentless. We have but one option left: seek the aid of humanity. A murmur of dissent rippled through the assembly. The humans were a relatively young spacefaring race, having only recently achieved faster than light travel. Their decision to remain neutral had frustrated many within the Coalition, who viewed them as isolationist and naive. Counselor Dravos, a reptilian carrion, voiced the skepticism shared by many humans. They are untested, inexperienced. What can they possibly offer that we, with all our centuries of warfare, cannot? Taris raised a hand to silence the room. Humans possess a unique adaptability and resilience. Their technological advancements are impressive, and their strategic minds could be the key to turning the tide. We must persuade them to join our cause. A delegation was swiftly dispatched to Earth. The envoys, including representatives from the Coalition's most influential species, hoped to convince humanity of the dire situation and the necessity of their involvement on Earth. The arrival of the alien envoys created a media frenzy. News channels broadcast images of the Coalition delegation with their varied and often awe-inspiring appearances. For many humans, this was their first direct encounter with extraterrestrial beings. The envoys were granted an audience with Earth's leaders at the United Nations headquarters in New York City. The Secretary General Maria Gonzalez welcomed them with a mix of curiosity and trepidation. High Counselor Taris presented their case with eloquence, detailing the horrors inflicted by the Zenari and the Coalition's desperate need for assistance. The room fell silent as images of devastated planets and refugee colonies filled the screen. After a long pause, Secretary General Gonzalez spoke. Your plea is compelling, High Counselor, but humanity has always been hesitant to involve itself in conflicts beyond our borders. Why should we risk our lives and resources for a war that is not ours? Taris' gaze was steady. Because if the Zenari are not stopped, they will eventually reach your world. This war is not just ours, it threatens the entire galaxy. Humanity's strength and ingenuity could make the difference between victory and annihilation. The debate continued late into the night. Earth's leaders, scifi, and military strategists weighed the risks and benefits. Finally, a consensus was reached. The decision was announced to the world: humanity would join the Galactic Coalition in their fight against the Zenari Dominion. As the preparations began, Earth's spaceports buzzed with activity. Engineers and scientists worked tirelessly to ready the fleet, while soldiers and pilots received intensive training on Coalition tactics and technology. Humanity war effort was in full swing. Admiral Marcus Steele, a decorated officer known for his strategic brilliance and unflinching resolve, was appointed to lead the human fleet. Addressing his officers, he spoke with conviction: we stand on the brink of a new era. Our participation in this war will not only determine the fate of the Coalition, but also define humanity's place in the galaxy. We will fight with honor, courage, and determination. As the human fleet prepared to embark on their first mission, the people of Earth watched with a mix of pride and apprehension. They knew the stakes were high, but they also believed in their capability to make a difference. The time had come for humanity to prove itself on the galactic stage. The Galactic Coalition's fleet was a patchwork of ships from dozens of species, each designed with their unique technologies and aesthetics. While the Coalition ships were diverse, they shared one common trait: they were battle-worn. Years of Continuous warfare had left them scarred and in desperate need of repair at the edge of the SAW system. The Coalition fleet waited for humanity's arrival. Their ships hung in the void of somber. Reminder of the wars told the crew members a mix of various species carried. The weight of countless lost battles and fallen comrades' hope was a scarce commodity when humanity's fleet finally appeared. It was a sight to behold, sleek and formidable the ships glided into formation with a precision that spoke volumes about their discipline and technological prowess. The flagship Aegis led the fleet, its design a perfect blend of functionality and aesthetics. Bristling with advanced weaponry and shield systems, aboard the Coalition's command ship, Admiral Kira, seasoned strategist from the reptilian Drari species, observed the newcomers with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. He had heard much about humanity's potential, but remained unconvinced. Admiral Steele Kether greeted over the comms, his voice grawly, an authoritative welcome to the Coalition fleet. I hope your confidence is well founded. The Zenari are not to be underestimated. Admiral Steele's response was calm and assured. Thank you, Admiral Keir. We understand the gravity of the situation and are prepared to do whatever it takes to turn the time. Our ships and crews are ready for the challenge. The two fleets merged with humanity's ships, taking strategic positions alongside their Coalition counterparts. The integration was seamless, a testament to the careful planning and coordination that had taken place as the combined fleet prepared for their first joint operation. Admiral Steele gathered his senior officers in EG's war room. The room was dominated by a large hollow table, displaying a detailed map of the Astera system. Their target, the system, was a crucial stronghold for the Zenari, heavily fortified and strategically vital. Our objective is clear, Steele began, his voice steady and commanding. We will strike at the heart of the Zenari defenses in the Astra system. This will be a coordinated assault with each ship and squadron playing a critical role. Our goal is to their defenses and pave the way for a ground invasion. He turned to Captain Rebecca Hayes, his second in command and a brilliant tactician. Captain Hayes, you'll lead the first wave of fighters, target their outer defenses, and create an opening for our capital ships. Hayes nodded, her expression determined. Understood, Admiral. We'll give them no quarter. Next, Steele addressed Lieutenant Commander Tarek Hayes, head of the Engineering Division. Commander Hayes, ensure our shield generators and weapon systems are operating at peak efficiency. We can't afford any malfunctions during the assault. Aziz responded with confidence. Consider it done, Admiral. Our systems will perform flawlessly. As the officers departed to prepare for the mission, Steele took a moment to reflect on the gravity of the situation. The fate of the Coalition and possibly the entire galaxy rested on their shoulders, but he had faith in his crew and in humanity's ability to rise to the occasion. The fleet jumped into hyperspace, the stars stretching into streaks of light. As they traversed the vast distances, the journey was brief, but the tension was palpable. Every crew member knew the stakes and was prepared to give their all. Emerging in the Astera system, they were greeted by a sight that would have daunted even the most seasoned warriors. A vast Zenari armada, bristling with weaponry and poised to defend their stronghold. The Zenari ships were angular and menacing, desks designed for maximum intimidation and lethality. Admiral Steele wasted no time. All ships engage and will target their command vessels and disrupt their formations. We hit them fast and hard. The battle erupted with a ferocity that took the Zenari by surprise. Humanity's advanced weaponry and tactics proved devastatingly effective. Plasma cannons fired in rapid succession, tearing through enemy hulls. Fighters weaved through the chaos, launching precise strikes that left the Zenari reeling. The Coalition ships, inspired by humanity's boldness, fought with renewed vigor. Together, they formed an unstoppable force, systematically dismantling the Zenari defenses. The void was filled with the debris of destroyed ships and the flashes of energy weapons. As the battle raged, Admiral Kether couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. Humanity had brought a new level of strategic brilliance and technological innovation to the Coalition for the first time in years. Victory seemed within reach. The combined fleet's assault was relentless. Within hours, the Zenari forces were in disarray. Their command structure shattered. The Astera system, once a symbol of Zener, Dominance had fallen to the Coalition as the last remnants of the Zenari fleet fled. The Coalition forces celebrated their hard-won victory. Admiral Steele addressed the fleet, his voice filled with pride. Today we have shown the galaxy that unity and determination can overcome any foe. This is just the beginning. Together we will end this war and restore peace. The triumph at Esteris was a turning point. Humanity had proven its worth, earning the respect and admiration of the Coalition. The stage was set for the next phase of their campaign, and the galaxy watched with bated breath, knowing that with humanity's arrival, everything had changed. The success at Esteris had electrified the Coalition and sent shock waves through the Zenari Dominion, yet Admiral Marcus Steele knew this victory was just the first step in a much larger campaign. The true test lay ahead as humanity and their new allies prepared to engage the enemy on multiple fronts. The fleet set course for the Zenari controlled planet of Zyria, a heavily fortified world that served as a major supply hub for the Dominion's war efforts. Intelligence reports indicated a substantial Zenari presence, including their formidable capital ships and ground installations. Capturing Zyria would disrupt their supply lines and deal a significant blow to their war machine. As the fleet approached Zyria, the atmosphere aboard the ships was tense but resolute. Admiral Steele, on the bridge of the Aegis, stood before a massive holographic display outlining their battle plan. Around him were his senior officers, including Captain Rebecca Hayes and Lieutenant Commander Tariq Aziz, each ready to execute their part of the mission. Listen up, everyone, Steele began, his voice carrying the weight of command. Our objective is to break through the Zenari fleet and establish orbital control over Zyria. Captain Hay, your fighters will lead the charge, targeting their main defensive emplacements. Lieutenant Commander Hayes, ensure our shields and weapons are at full capacity. We can't afford any malfunctions, as orders were delayed and final preparations made. The fleet emerged from hyperspace to find the Zenari forces already mobilized. The enemy fleet, a dark cloud of menacing warships, was ready for battle. The silence of space was shattered by the roar of engines and the crackle of energy weapons as both sides clashed in a maelstrom of destruction. Captain Hayes led her squadron into the fray, her fighter weaving through enemy fire with unmatched skill. Squadron 1 follow my lead, engage their forward batteries and open a path for our capital ships. Her commands were executed flawlessly. Human fighters darted through the enemy formation, launching precision strikes that disabled keys and Theri defenses. Behind them, the larger Coalition warships advanced their cannons, unleashing devastating volleys that tore through the enemy ranks. Meanwhile, aboard the Zenari command ship, Supreme Commander Zor watched the unfolding battle with a mixture of anger and disbelief. The human tactics were unlike anything he had encountered, their relentless assault breaking through his carefully laid defenses. All units regroup and counterattack. Zealer barked, his voice a guttural snarl. Do not let them breach our lines. Despite the Zenthar's efforts, the human assault proved unstoppable. Admiral Steele's strategic acumen shone as he directed the fleet with precision, exploiting every weakness in the enemy's formation. The Zenthar fleet, once a symbol of their dominance, began to falter under the relentless onslaught as the space battle raged. A covert ops team prepared for their mission on Zyria's surface, led by Captain Sarah Connerin. Elite soldier known for her bravery and resourcefulness, the team was tasked with infiltrating the Zenari command station and disabling the planet's defense grid. Were going in hot. Connor briefed her team as they boarded their stealth drop ship. Our primary objective is to take down their defense grid. Secondary objective, gather any intel on Zenthari. Command operations move fast, stay sharp, and watch each other's backs. The drop ship descended through the atmosphere, avoiding detection by employing advanced stealth technology. As they neared their landing zone, the team prepared for immediate engagement. The ramp lowered, and Connor led the charge into the enemy-held facility. The Zenari soldiers were ready for them, their towering forms and advanced armor making them formidable adversaries. But Connor's team, equipped with state-of-the-art exosuits and weapons, fought with unparalleled ferocity. Laser fire and explosions filled the corridors as the humans pushed forward systematically, eliminating any resistance. Clear the way to the control room, Connor shouted over the den of battle. We need to disable that grid before our fleet can commence orbital bomb bombardment despite fears. Opposition, the team advanced methodically, Connor at the forefront. Exemplified calm under pressure, her tactical mind navigating the chaos. With ease, each fallen Zenari brought them one step closer to their goal. Finally, they breached the control room. Technician Javier Morales immediately set to work, hacking the system, his fingers flying over the console. Cover me, this might take a minute. As the team secured the area, the sound of approaching reinforcements grew louder. Connors knew they were running out of time. Hurry up, Morales, we can't hold them off forever. With a triumphant beat, Morales deactivated the defense grid. Got it, grid is down. The success in disabling the defense grid opened a critical window for the coalition fleet. Admiral Steele wasted no time. All ships commenced orbital bombardment, target their ground installations, and clear the way for our ground forces from high orbit. The coalition warships unleashed a relentless barrage of plasma and kinetic rounds, hammering the Zenari fortifications below. The once impenetrable defenses crumbled under the onslaught, sending shock waves of panic through the Zenari ranks on the surface. Captain Connors and her team received new orders: hold their position and secure the command station until reinforcements arrived. The sound of distant explosions and the sight of Zenari ships plummeting from the sky bolstered their resolve. However, the Zenari were far from defeated. Waves of enemy soldiers converged on the command station, determined to reclaim it. Connor and her team fortified their positions, preparing for the inevitable assault. Incoming, hold the line, Connor commanded, her voice steady despite the dire circumstances. The battle that ensued was brutal. Zenari soldiers, driven by desperation and fury, threw themselves at the human defenders. The corridors of the command station became a deadly gauntlet, filled with the sounds of gunfire, explosions, and the cries of the wounded. Connor fought with relentless determination, her exoit enhancing her strength and speed. She moved through the chaos with surgical precision, her rifle finding its mark with each shot. Beside her, Sergeant Alexei Petro, a hulking figure of raw power, used his heavy weaponry to devastating effect, mowing down waves of attackers. As the battle raged, Lieutenant Naomi Kim, the team's medic, worked tirelessly to treat the wounded. Her calm demeanor and quick hands saved many lives, her efforts crucial to keeping the team combat ready. Despite their valiant efforts, the sheer number of Zenari began to take its toll. Connor knew they couldn't hold out indefinitely. We need those reinforcements now, she shouted into her comms, hoping the fleet was aware of their predicament above. Admiral Steele monitored the situation closely, seeing the intensity of the ground battle. He made a decisive call: deploy the ground troops immediately. Connor's team needs support, and we need to secure that command station. Drop ships carrying coalition ground forces descended through the thick of the battle, landing amidst heavy fire. The reinforcements, a mix of human and coalition soldiers, charged into the fray, their arrival tipping the balance. With the additional firepower, Connor and her team were able to push back the Zenari, securing the command station. The combined forces swept through the remaining enemy positions, driving the Zenari into full retreat. As the dust settled, Captain Connor stood among the ruins of the command station, surveying the battlefield. The cost had been high, but the mission was a success. Zyria, a critical Zenari stronghold, was now under coalition control. Admiral Steele's voice crackled through her comms. Excellent work, Captain Connor. You've secured a vital victory for the coalition. Prepare for extraction and regroup with the fleet. We have more battles ahead, and we'll need your expertise. Connors acknowledged the order, feeling a mix of exhaustion and pride. The battle for Zyria had been fierce, but it was a crucial step towards their ultimate goal: defeating the Zenari Dominion once and for all. As they prepared to leave the war-torn planet, the soldiers knew that their fight was far from over, but they were ready for whatever came next. Admiral Marcus Steele stood on the bridge of the Aegis, watching the tactical displays that filled the air with holographic data. The victory at Zyria had been a crucial step, but Steele knew the war was far from over. The coalition needed a decisive blow to break the Zenari Dominion spine. That blow would come in the form of humanity's most advanced and secretive weapon the Nova Cannon developed in utmost secrecy. The Nova Cannon was a weapon of unprecedented power. It was capable of generating a focused energy burst that could obliterate entire fleets in a single shot. Until now it had remained hidden, a last resort that could turn the tide in the most desperate of situations. Admiral Steele, the fleet is ready, said Captain Rebecca, her eyes reflecting the same determination that had carried them through countless battles. Steele nodded, his face a mask of results solved. Good. Our target is the Zenari flagship, the Wrath of Kor. It's their most powerful warship, and its destruction will send a clear message to the entire Dominion. The Wrath of Kor was a behemoth, a dread and bristling with weapons and protected by layers of shields and armor. It served not only as a command ship, but also as a symbol of Zenari might. Destroying it would demoralize the enemy and disrupt their command structure. The Aegis, along with its escort of coalition ships, entered the Darnax sector, where the Wrath of Kor was stationed. The enemy fleet, alerted to their presence, began to mobilize. The tension on the bridge of the Aegis was palpable. All ships prepare for engagement. Activate the Nova Cannon and begin charging sequences. Steele ordered the Nova Cannon housed within the belly of the Egypt began to hum with power. Engineers and technicians monitored the energy levels, ensuring everything was in perfect alignment. The charging process took time, and during this window, they were vulnerable. Enemy ships are approaching fast. Admiral, we need to hold them off until the cannon is ready, Hayes reported. Steele's gaze hardened. Launch all fighters and engage the enemy. Protect the Aegis at all costs. Captain Hayes relayed the orders, and the space around the Aegis erupted into chaos as coalition fighters swarmed out to meet the Zenari onslaught. The enemy fleet, realizing the importance of the Aegis, focused their attacks on it. Waves of enemy fighters and bombers hurled themselves at the human flagship, but the coalition forces, inspired by humanity's resilience, fought with tenacity, shields holding at 80%. Lieutenant Commander Tarek A's reported, his fingers dancing over the control panels. Keep them up, Tarek. We need just a few more minutes. Steele replied, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. The battle intensified. The coalition ships formed a protective perimeter around the Aegis, their weapons blazing. Despite the overwhelming odds, they held their ground, buying precious time for the Nova Cannon to charge. Finally, the moment came. Nova Cannon is fully charged and ready to fire. Admiral and engineer announced, his voice taut with anticipation. Steele stepped forward, his eyes narrowing as he focused on the Wrath of Kor. Target locked. Fight. The Nova Cannon. The Aegis shuddered as the Nova Cannon unleashed its devastating energy burst. A blinding beam of light shot forth, cutting through the void and striking the Wrath of Kor with unerring precision. The Zenari dreadnoughts shields flared brilliantly, struggling to contain the immense power, but it was futile. The beam pierced through, slicing the ship in half and triggering a massive explosion that consumed everything in its vicinity. The void was filled with the debris of the Wrath of Kor, the once mighty symbol of Zenari power, now reduced to a field of wreckage. The enemy fleet, witnessing the destruction of their flagship, wavered. Panic spread through their ranks, and the coordinated assault crumbled as ships began to retreat. Cheers erupted on the bridge of the Aegis. Admiral Steele allowed himself a moment of satisfaction before addressing his crew. Well done, everyone. This victory will be remembered. But we can't rest yet. There are more battles ahead. As the coalition fleet regrouped, the news of the Wrath of Kor's destruction spread like wildfire. For the first time, hope surged through the coalition ranks. The Zenari, faced with humanity's formidable power and strategic brilliance, had been dealt a crippling blow. The destruction of the Wrath of Kor sent shock waves through the Zenari Dominion. For centuries they had been the galaxy's undisputed conquerors, their power unchallenged. Now their most formidable warship lay in ruins, and their forces were in disarray. The psychological impact on both the Zenari and the coalition was profound. In the coalition's war room on the Aegis, Admiral Steele and his senior officers convened to plan their next move. Holographic displays showed the shifting tides of the war, with red markers indicating Zenari strongholds and blue for Coalition-controlled territories, we have a rare opportunity, Steele, began his voice steady and confident. The Zenari are reeling from our attack. We must press the advantage and strike at their heart. Our target is Zenthia, their home world. A murmur of surprise rippled through the room. Zenthia was the seat of the Zenari power, a planet heavily fortified and protected by their most elite forces. Attacking it was a bold and dangerous move. Captain Hayes, ever the tactician, leaned forward. Admiral Zenthia is known to have the most advanced defenses in the Dominion. Even with the Nova cannon, this won't be an easy fight. Steele nodded. I understand the risks, but we need to hit them where it hurts the most. Our recent victories have given us the momentum we need to use it. Lieutenant Commander Aziz, what's the status of our fleet's readiness? Aziz reviewed the latest reports. Our ships have sustained damage, but repairs are underway. The fleet will be ready for action soon. However, we'll need to coordinate closely with the coalition forces. Their support will be crucial. Admiral Carr, patched in from the coalition command ship, spoke up. The destruction of the Wrath of Kor has inspired our people. Admiral Steele, we are ready to stand with you. The coalition will commit its full strength to this assault. Steele acknowledged Kier's support with a nod. Thank you, Admiral Kether. We'll need every ship and soldier. This will be a coordinated strike with both space and ground forces. Captain Connors, your team will have a critical role to play. Connors, still recovering from the intensity of the Zyria mission. Straighten, we're ready. Admiral, what do you need from us? Your team will infiltrate Xania's planetary defense grid and disable it from within. This will allow our fleet to engage their forces directly and provide support for the ground invasion. It's a high-risk mission, but I know you can handle it. Connor nodded, her expression resolute. Well, get it done, sir. Preparations began immediately. The coalition and human fleets combined their forces, forming the largest armada ever assembled. Engineers and technicians worked around the clock to repair and upgrade ships, while soldiers trained intensively for the upcoming battle. The sense of urgency and determination was palpable as the fleet neared Zenthia. The scale of the enemy defenses became clear. The planet was surrounded by a formidable network of space stations, orbital platforms, and patrolling warships. The Zenari were ready for a fight. All ships prepare for combat. Steele commanded. This is it. The future of the galaxy depends on our success. The fleet emerged from hyperspace, and the battle began. Xania's defenses opened fire immediately, their powerful energy weapons cutting through the void. The coalition ships responded in kind, engaging the enemy in a fierce exchange of fire. In the midst of the chaos, Connor's team launched their stealth dropship, slipping through the defensive perimeter and heading for the planet's surface. The infiltration team consisted of the best soldiers from both human and coalition forces, each one handpicked for this critical mission. As they descended through the atmosphere, Connor briefed her team. Our target is the primary defense control center. Once we disable it, our fleet will have a clear shot at their command infrastructure. Stay sharp and move fast. The dropship landed in a dense jungle, providing cover for their approach. The team moved with practiced deficiency, their advanced gear and training allowing them to navigate the treacherous terrain swiftly and silently. As they neared the facility, they encountered heavy resistance. Zenari soldiers, alerted to their presence, launched a fierce counterattack. The ground erupted in a flurry of laser fire and explosions. Connor and her team fought back with relentless determination, their superior tactics and technology giving them an edge. Push forward, we need to reach the control center, Connor shouted, leading the charge. Despite the fierce opposition, the team advanced, breaching the facility's outer defenses. Inside, the corridors were a maze of fortified positions and automated turrets. Every step was contested, but Connor's leadership and the team's cohesion saw them through. Finally, they reached the control center. Technician Morales immediately set to work on the security systems, bypassing firewalls and hacking into the mainframe. Cover me. This is going to take a minute. The team formed a defensive perimeter, holding off waves of Zenari reinforcements. The intensity of the battle was staggering, but they held their ground. A determination, unwavering, almost their guided defense. Grid is down, Morales exclaimed above. Admiral Steele watched as the planetary defenses flickered and died, all ships commenced the assault on Anthea ground. Forces prepared for deployment with the defense grid, disabled the fleet, unleashed its full firepower. Orbital bombardments targeted key installations, while dropships carrying ground troops descended to the surface. The final battle for Xanthia had begun. As Connor's team regrouped with the incoming forces, the scale of the conflict became apparent. The entire planet was a war zone with coalition and Xenari forces clashing across multiple fronts. Yet despite the chaos, the coalition's superior coordination and the element of surprise gave them the upper hand. Admiral Steele, overseeing the battle from orbit, directed his forces with unmatched precision. Every ship and soldier had a role to play, and their combined efforts began to turn the tide. The battle raged for hours, but the outcome was clear. The Xenari, overwhelmed and demoralized, began to retreat. Victory was within reach as the coalition forces secured the last stronghold on Xanthia. The realization of their triumph began to sink in the Xenari dominion. Once the galaxy's greatest threat had been brought to its knees, Admiral Steele addressed the fleet, his voice filled with pride and determination. This victory is not just ours, but the galaxy's. We've shown that unity and courage can overcome any foe. The war is not over, but today we have taken a giant step towards peace. The fall of Xanthia marked a turning point in the war. The coalition, bolstered by humanity's strength and leadership, continued their campaign with renewed vigor. The message was clear: the tide had turned, and the days of the Xenari dominion were numbered. With the planetary defense grid down and the initial assault successful, the coalition forces set their sights on the heart of Xanthia. This planet, a fortress world, was the seat of the Xenari dominion's power. Its capital, Drar, was protected by layers of defenses, both technological and biological, and was home to the dominion's ruling council. Admiral Marcus Steele, aboard the Aegis, oversaw the ongoing bombardment. Despite their initial success, he knew that capturing the capital would be an arduous task. The Xenari, cornered and desperate, would fight with everything they had left. Admiral Steele, we have confirmed the location of their command center in Drar, reported Lieutenant Commander Tarek A's. It's heavily fortified, but our intelligence suggests it's the nerve center of their entire operation. Steele nodded his mind, already working through the tactical implications. Prepare for a coordinated assault. We'll need ground troops to infiltrate the city and target the command center directly. Captain Connor's team will lead the way on the surface. The coalition ground forces regrouped and resupplied. Captain Sarah Connor gathered her team for a final briefing. They had been instrumental in disabling the planetary defenses, and now they were tasked with the critical mission of capturing the Xenari command center. Listen up, Team Connor, began, her voice steady but intense. This is at the heart of the Xenari dominion. Our objective is the command center in the capital. Expect the heaviest resistance we've faced, yet stay focused. Watch each other's backs, and let's get this done. The drop ships descended towards Drar, weaving through a barrage of anti-aircraft fire. The cityscape below was a mix of towering spires and fortified bunkers, a testament to Xenari engineering. As the drop ships touched down, the soldiers disembarked, quickly forming defensive positions. Connor led her team through the maze of streets and alleys, their advanced EXO suits providing enhanced mobility and protection. The Xenari soldiers, towering and heavily armored, launched relentless attacks, but the human and coalition forces fought back with equal ferocity. Push forward, we need to break through to the command center. Connor shouted over the cacophony of battle. The urban warfare was brutal. Buildings crumbled under artillery fire, and the streets were filled with the sounds of gunfire and explosions. Despite the chaos, the coalition forces advanced, their determination unyielding. Captain Connor's team reached the outer perimeter of the command center, a massive structure surrounded by defensive turrets and energy shields. Morales, get those shields down, Connor ordered technician Javier Morales, using his expertise, hacked into the Xenari systems, disabling the shields. Shields are down. Move in. The team stormed the command center, encountering fierce resistance from the Xenari elite guards. The corridors were a battleground, but Connors and her team fought with unmatched skill and determination. Inch By inch, they pushed forward, reaching the central control room inside the Zenari. Commanders, realizing their imminent defeat, fought with desperation. Connors engaged in hand-to-hand combat with one of the Zenari leaders, a brutal clash of strength and skill. With a final decisive blow, she secured the control room, signaling the completion of their mission. Command center secured. Admiral Connor reported, her voice steady despite the exhaustion. Excellent work, Captain. Hold your position and prepare for extraction. Steele replied. All units, the command center is ours. Begin mop-up operations and secure the city. With the command center in coalition hands, the fall of Dreer was inevitable. However, the Zenther forces, loyal to the end, launched a desperate counterattack to reclaim their capital. The coalition troops braced themselves for one final stand. Admiral Steele, observing the situation from orbit, understood the importance of breaking the remaining Zenari defenses quickly. Prepare the fleet for a final bombardment. We need to take out their remaining strongholds and fortifications. The Aegis and other coalition ships targeted key Zenari positions, unleashing a relentless barrage that shattered the last vestiges of their defenses. The ground shook as orbital strikes hit their marks, causing widespread destruction among the Zenari forces on the ground. Captain Connor and her team fortified their position within the command center, repelling wave after wave of enemy attacks. The Zenari, driven by a mix of desperation and fanaticism, fought fiercely, but the coalition soldiers held their ground. In the midst of the battle, Lieutenant Naomi Kim, the team's medic, worked tirelessly to treat the wounded. Her calm demeanor and swift action saved many lives. Her dedication, a beacon of hope amid the chaos. Keep fighting, we're almost there. Connor urged her team, her voice unwavering. As the orbital bombardment continued, the coalition forces advanced, systematically dismantling the Zenari defenses. The tide of battle had turned decisively in their favor, and the enemy's resolve began to crumble back in orbit. Admiral Steele received a critical update from the Intelligence Division. Admiral, we've intercepted commune communications indicating that the Zenari leadership is planning to evacuate. We need to cut off their escape route. Steele's eyes narrowed. Deploy interceptors and blockade their escape vectors. We cannot allow their leaders to flee. Coalition interceptors, swift and deadly, swarmed the designated escape routes, targeting any Zenari ships attempting to break free. The coordinated effort ensured that the Zenari leadership was trapped on Zenthia, forced to face the consequences of their actions on the ground. The finals in Nar stronghold fell. Coalition forces, led by Captain Connor, secured the last remnants of the enemy's defenses. The capital city, Drar, was now under complete coalition control. Admiral Steele's voice echoed through the comms, a mixture of relief and triumph. Coalition forces, the siege of Xania is over. The Zenari Dominion has been defeated. Well done. Everyone cheers erupted among the troops. The once invincibles in Theri Dominion had been brought to its knees by the combined might of humanity and the coalition. The victory was not just a military triumph, but a symbol of unity and resilience. As the dust settled, Captain Connor stood amidst the ruins of the command center, reflecting on the journey that had brought them here. The cost had been high, but the outcome was worth it. The galaxy was finally free from the shadow of the Zenari Dominion. Admiral Steele, addressing the entire fleet, spoke with pride and determination. Today we have achieved what many thought impossible. We have defeated the greatest threat the galaxy has ever known. This victory belongs to all of us, human and coalition alike. We have proven that together we are unstoppable. The fall of Zenthia marked a turning point in galactic history. The coalition, strengthened by humanity's resolve and ingenuity, continued to push forward, reclaiming lost territories and restoring peace to the war-torn galaxy. As the coalition forces began the process of rebuilding and stabilizing the liberated worlds, a new era of cooperation and unity emerged. The war had forged an unbreakable bond between the diverse species, each contributing their strengths to a shared future. Captain Connor, reflecting on the battles fought, and one knew that their work was far from over, but for now they could celebrate a hard-earned victory and look forward to a brighter tomorrow. The message was clear when humanity finally Joining the war, they not only changed the course of the conflict, but also paved the way for a lasting peace the galaxy would forever remember the courage and determination that led to the fall of the Zenari Dominion and the dawn of A. New era, the fall of Xania had sent shockwaves through the galaxy, but the war was not over. Pockets of Zenari resistance remained, and their remnants were scattered across various strongholds. Admiral Steele and the Coalition knew that to secure a lasting peace they needed to dismantle the Zenari war. Machine completely the next target was the Zenari capital city Drartho. Their planetary defenses were down. The city itself was a labyrinth of fortified positions and hidden dangers. The Zenari were masters of guerrilla warfare, and they were prepared to defend their home to the last soldier. The combined Coalition forces, now more cohesive and battle-hardened, prepared for the final assault. The plan was to deploy ground troops in a coordinated strike, targeting the remaining strongholds and neutralizing the last of the Zinter. Command Captain Sarah Connor and her elite team, having played pivotal roles in previous missions, were once again at the forefront. They would lead the ground forces into Drar, paving the way for the main assault. Captain Connor's Admiral Steele addressed her via a secure comm link. This mission is critical. We need to break their command structure once and for all. Your team will lead the charge. Good luck. Understood, Admiral Weck. Get it done, Connor replied, her voice steady and filled with resolve. The Coalition ground forces descended upon Drar, their drop ships navigating through anti-aircraft fire. As they landed, they were met with immediate resistance. The Zenari had fortified every street and building, turning the city into a maze of death traps. Connor led her team through the war-torn streets, their advanced exosuits providing a critical edge in the close-quarters combat. They moved with precision, clearing buildings and securing key positions. The sounds of battle echoed around them, but the Coalition forces pressed on. Their determination unwavering. Squad, we've got movement on the left, shouted Sergeant Alex Petro, his heavy weaponry mowing down a group of advancing Zenari soldiers. Keep pushing. We need to reach the central command hub. Connor urged, her rifle blazing as she took down enemies with deadly accuracy. As they fought their way through the city, the team encountered fierce resistance. The Zenari, driven by desperation and a fierce loyalty to their cause, fought with everything they had but the Coalition's superior tactics and technology, began to turn the tide in the heart of RAR. Connor's team reached the Zenari command hub. The building was heavily guarded, but Morales quickly hacked the security systems, opening the doors for the assault team inside. They faced the last line of Zenari elite guards. The battle was intense and brutal. Connors and her team moved with lethal efficiency, neutralizing the guards and securing the command center. The remaining Zenari commanders, realizing the futility of their resistance, surrendered. Command hub secured. Admiral Connor reported, her voice carrying a note of triumph. Excellent work, Captain. All units focus on clearing the remaining resistance. The city must be completely secured. Steele ordered, with the command hub under Coalition control. The remaining Zenari forces in Drar began to crumble. The Coalition troops, bolstered by their recent victories, swept through the city, eliminating the last pockets of resistance. As the sun rose over Drar, the reality of their victory began to sink in. The Zenari Dominion, once a seemingly unstoppable force, had been defeated. The streets of the capital were littered with the remnants of battle, but amidst the rubble, a new hope emerged. Admiral Steele stood on the bridge of the Aegis, overlooking the liberated city, his voice filled with pride and relief, addressed the entire Coalition. Today, we stand victorious. The Zenari Dominion has fallen. This victory belongs to all of us, human and Coalition alike. We have proven that unity and courage can overcome any foe. Cheers erupted across the communication channels, a collective celebration of their hard-earned triumph. The war had cost many lives, but it had also forged an unbreakable bond between the diverse species of the Coalition. On the ground, Captain Connor and her team regrouped, their faces reflecting a mix of exhaustion and pride. The battle for Drar had been their toughest challenge, but had emerged victorious. Looks like we did it, Sergeant Petro said, a rare smile breaking across his stern face. Connor nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. We did, but there's still work to be done. We need to help rebuild and ensure the peace we fought for. As the coalition forces began the process of reconstruction, the true scale of their achievement became clear. The Zenari, now leaderless and scattered, posed no further threat. The liberated planets, once under the oppressive rule of the Dominion, began to rebuild and recover. Admiral Steele and the coalition leadership worked tirelessly to stabilize the region, establishing a new order based on cooperation and mutual respect. The war had taught them valuable lessons, and they were determined to create a lasting peace. In the weeks that followed, the coalition held a grand ceremony to commemorate the end of the war. Representatives from all member species gathered on the newly liberated world of Xeria, now a symbol of their unity and resilience. Captain Connor, Admiral Steele, and other key figures were honored for their bravery and leadership. The ceremony was a moment of reflection and celebration, marking the beginning of a new era. Addressing the assembled crowd, Admiral Steele spoke with heartfelt conviction. We have faced unimaginable challenges and endured great sacrifices, but through it all we have emerged stronger and more united. The Zenari Dominion may have sought to divide and conquer, but we have proven that together we are unstoppable. This victory is not just the end of a war, but the dawn of a new chapter for the galaxy. As the celebrations continued, the people of the coalition looked to the future with hope. The war had forged a new alliance, one built on trust and cooperation. Humanity, once an untested ally, had proven its worth and earned its place among the stars. Captain Connors, reflecting on the journey that had brought them to this moment, felt a deep sense of pride. They had not only won a war, but had also laid the foundation for a brighter future. The message was clear. When humans finally joined the war, they not only changed the course of the conflict, but also paved the way for a lasting peace the galaxy would forever remember. The courage and determination that led to the fall of the Zenari Dominion and the dawn of a new era.